All right, welcome back to DCKO. Jason versus the Joker. This one has been my favorite so far that has came out. Yeah, this one's cool as fuck, man. I've always liked Jason. For a time, he was my favorite Robin when I was younger, and then I grew up, and Dick Grayson is my favorite Robin. Or Damian. I really like Damian. I think it's still Dick Grayson as my favorite Robin, just the prodigal son. Jason hasn't had any good stories in a while, so they keep bombing him. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna head in. Welcome to the next round. In the point of view of Jason Todd, he's gonna tell us a secret. I've never told anyone because why would I? Sometimes when people look at me, even my friends, family, especially those guys, they don't see me. They see the Joker, him. The eyes that grin, laugh, the crowbar. They look at me like I'm his creation, an achievement, his own crown on the clown prince of crime. Well, no more. This is going to end. And fair enough. Jason hasn't had a good rep in the past 15 years since he came back as Red Hood. He did his Under the Red Hood story pretty good, and people loved that. The movie was way better, though, than the comic and made more sense. And then, since then, he's really only had a couple good stories, and he's been just making a side character. People don't really care what he's doing anymore. He had that Red Hood series that was going to come out, and everybody was like, this is going to be awful. And then it got canceled. Won't talk about why, but it got canceled. So people were like, thank God, because it probably would have been terrible anyways. Going back to the fight, boys start shooting at each other. They're in the middle of Gotham. Damn, he's fast and he's unpredictable. But it's the third factor that he has that makes him a nightmare in hand-to-hand combat. I am a little bit sick, so you will hear some random voices. But I remember the first time I saw him and Bruce fight. I idolized Bruce back then, but I can still feel the shock of seeing Batman struggle against this bony, grinning goon who laughed at him the entire time. And now I get it. He's just a hurricane of chaos with a third factor, the worst part, where he abandons the way he fights like he doesn't care if he lives or dies. I'm fighting for my life here. He's just having fun. And I like that dynamic, is that dude don't really care what he does. I love the dynamic more of he is not a good fighter. He's just got a bunch of tricks up his sleeves and somehow stays in the battle. Batman the Animated Series does a really good job of doing that. I can't remember if Batman Beyond the movie does that very well. Haven't seen that in forever. But yeah, where he's just like a bumbling oaf. Not a great hand-to-hand combat, but he can keep up and just throw a bunch of random gags at you to stay in the fight. So maybe Jason should do the same and have his own fun as he puts a knife through this guy's throat and kicks it through. Jeez, man. And then the Joker runs away, so he chases him. And we see Jason's arsenal. He didn't believe that the Joker would really be locked up. They said all our enemies would be locked up at the Phantom Zone, far away from the tournament. But I knew my gut better, which is why I chose this actual special gun that I will get into later, because I'm not going to get into it now. Yeah, the Joker's never really locked away. Not really. I learned long ago that the Joker's always lurking around the corner. For years, Bruce studied the elements that made the Joker into what he is. He's trying to figure out their secret, the ACE chemical compound, something that would kill the demon Joker and turn him human again. But I only get one shot. So he's got this special little gun, basically, that seems to bring the Joker back to normal. Using some ACE chemical hardware, a cure, whatever. Yeah, it should bring him back. But the Joker runs away into this building. I know where we are immediately. The chemical smell gives it away. ACE, this is where he was born. So he walks in, sees the knife on the floor, and he's like, oh, dang. As the Joker jumps out, hissing at him, and then Jason shoots him with the cure. And we see this cure is not actually a real cure as you would imagine it. It's actually Jason's form of a cure. Batman spent years on a cure, and he never found one because you don't deserve one. This one, yeah, there's nothing human about you, buddy. So I made my own cure. The compound in that bullet is just produced from the same chemicals that made you, but amplified 1,000 times over. Death by the own stuff that should have killed you in the first place. And then you see the Joker just gets a bunch of mouse, mutates, and then he throws a Joker bomb. Whoops. And Jason falls into the vat. Oh my God. Nobody's like me. That's the real joke. No one else could have survived that chemical bath. I'm 1 in a billion, baby. As, yeah, Jason starts dying. KO as Jason's neck cracks and he dies. You're not that special, Jason. So we go into round 2. What? Look at this form. Barely time to think of what form, but there's another person who defined me, and that's Batman. Some people will only ever see me as Robin, though. So he chooses the form that he died in because he's like, the Joker defined me. So I picked my regular form. I got my regular form in the beginning. That's what people thought. I'm going to choose the person who really defined me, which is Batman. As Joker's like, so predictable, little bird. I figured why not take a stroll down memory lane together? So they're both basically in the same form that they were. And he goes back to it. They won't see me as just any other Robin, though. They see me as the Robin who died, who failed. So here now, I'm rewriting my story. The bomb is off. The bomb's got 30 seconds. They're going to fight in the warehouse that he died in. That's crazy. My heart could have chosen anywhere, but it chose this location. It's just what I want this rematch to be. So let's do this. And so they get to fight, and Jason's running. Dang, this form is strange to be like this again. To be young, I forgot how angry I was, full of fury, my heart pounding in my ears. Adrenaline is like liquid fire. As he throws the Joker into a box of crates, and then suddenly the crates come back to him. And then the Joker gets the upper hand, starts smacking him with the crowbar. Not again. No, this can't happen. This can't be how I lose. I'm not that kid anymore. Bomb's ticking. Time for another secret. Back then I held back because I was worried if I fought, I'd kill the Joker. That kid, he would rather died than disappoint Batman. But I don't give a flying fuck what Batman thinks. Now, I could let you die in this explosion, but payback's a bitch. So now he gets the upper hand back on Joker, using his strength, his fury. And like I said, people look at me and think of Batman like I'm his Scar. So this time, I'll fight like him. Cold, controlled, break Joker bone by bone as he just breaks all of his bones with a crowbar. The Joker's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, as he shoots at him, missing and hitting the bomb and it exploding. And Jason, smart, gets behind the Joker and has the Joker take the full brunt of the explosion as he stands up and does the iconic panel of Bruce holding Robin, but instead it's him holding the Joker, and he laughs. Round 2 goes to Jason. That's the real victory here. Let's go. That's my boy. It's my son. So going into the last round, 1 to go. What form should I pick? My heart flashes moments before me, and we see Jason's life here. So much of my life defined by 2 figures, Batman and Joker. But what about mine? What form? So we see him, not in order. I'm just going to point out random stuff. We have the Outlaws. We have him as Robin with Batman, him getting caught by Batman. We have him old school days where he was in the family of a trapeze artist like Dick Grayson. There's him wearing a not Red Hood costume. Well, there is him with the Red Hood costume also, but there's him with the Red Robin. Oh my God, I don't know why I couldn't say that. Yeah, conveniently they didn't leave the Red Hood where he's a villain with Grant Morrison's run. That was pretty good. This looks like Grant Morrison's artist drew some of this. I can't remember his name, which is very rude because he's very good. He did All-Star Superman as well. Frank Quietly. I had to make sure that I put it in here because that would be rude not to acknowledge. Very good artist. And then he chooses a form. I remember my name. Sure, Joker was the Red Hood once, but there were others that had that name. Older gangs used that name because the Red Hood always been seen as a Gotham phrase, slang in the underparts where kids like me grew up. The Red Hood did it. Blame it on the Red Hood. The Red Hood was the guy who did the thing, the bad guy in the shadows. My friends and I played Red Hood as kids. Whoever was Red Hood had to chase the others and hunt them down. I even used to draw him. The Red Hood was our boogeyman. So I do know what form I have to take. I take a future version of me, a little older, not as fast or strong, but wiser as the Red Hood. a long legend of his own. Not gonna lie, you're gonna have to give me that year because I've no idea when you're gonna become a legend. Sorry, Jason, you just haven't had anything good recently. And then the Joker pops up. He's in the Red Hood costume too. Nice try, kiddo. But whatever form you take, you'll never be more than a footnote. Red Hood's got a fire wrist guard. I barely hear him at all. Is he laughing, screaming? I have no idea. He means so little all of a sudden. It's not part of his story anymore. He's a part of mine. And he's not my boogeyman. I'm his. Joker pulls out a knife, starts stabbing him. As he grabs him, tucks him, they fall into a grave together. He fights like an animal, like something caged, something guilty. And the guilty are who I chase, who I hunt. So, yeah, Jason stabbing him. They're both just stabbing each other in there. I'm in an executioner's hood, red of the blood of evil men. Just before he finally dies, I see his true face and I don't care. And then they both just lie there bleeding out. And Jason's like, I'm the winner. I got my share of trauma out. I got the victory in my book. But I know that the Joker is a cheater, so I'm going to bleed out and die. The Joker is probably going to have some trick up his sleeve to stay alive. But in the end, I know I was not created by Batman or the Joker. I made myself. I'm my own hero. I'm the Red Hood. We know who really won this fight, as the Joker has something in his heart that keeps him pumping, and he wakes up laughing. So the Joker's alive. Jason died off screen. Yeah, Joker goes through because he wins round 3. But the real victor is Jason and the friends we made along the way. Thank you for listening, watching, enjoying. Yeah, peace out. More DCKO on the way.